Rice, they often just describe your music as pop, which is kind of a box for everything. How do you describe the music you make?
I would describe it as, I think in general it's kind of pop, but I think mostly it's kind of rock, indie, alt, maybe a little bluesy here and there. But mostly like I'd say indie alt rock is probably what I would go for. But indie's changed so much that like I used to be indie, and then it's like totally like evolved into this new thing, which I'm still hanging on by a thread. But yeah, that's how I would.
It counts.
Yeah.
Um, who are some of the artists then that influenced you when you were growing up?
Ah man, there's honestly there's almost too many to count. But I mean, I really loved listening to the Rolling Stones and Queen with my dad. Um, really loved War. Um, and then kind of when I got into my own, choice of listening era, I guess I don't even know what you call it. But once I started to have a little more independence on what I could play for myself, it was more like rap, pretty much. I mean, I was listening to like Jay-Z, a lot of Talib Kweli. I love Bone Thugs and Harmony. I'm from the Midwest, so like they were just like right next door. Um, grew up like an hour and a half away, so I just loved that. I mean, I loved Eminem. I loved gosh, yeah, NWA. I mean, I loved every like stuff of the time, and then like I loved like the old school stuff too. I just was like, I just loved the flow, and I love the cadence, and I just loved the rock star attitude that they had because rap's kind of become the new they they've kind of taken over as the new rock stars of music. So I just love that, and yeah, that's kind of what I listened to, what I was inspired. I mean, a lot of Rage Against the Machine too, because of how they incorporated their hip hop. I love Linkin Park because of the hip hop like kind of combo that they had. So yeah, that's kind of where my head and ears were back then.
You have this new album out. It's coming here March 21st, The Butterfly and the Bomb. Where did the title come from?
I think it kind of came from the first. Well, so we had written several songs for the album before I got to Butterfly. Um, and up until then, I had no idea what I was going to call the album. But then Butterfly came along, and it kind of set the tone for what I wanted this album to be about. And Butterfly itself is about my family, my wife, and my boy. And the rest of the album was so just like a little existential and um, just kind of about society and the threat that it poses, you know. And it all kind of came together then because it was like I care about my family. I'm writing all this music kind of on behalf of my family now, as opposed to just like what I was writing before, which was all kind of selfish and sexual stuff. Is kind of where my head was at before I met my wife. And so yeah, that's kind of how it came. So it was like the butterfly and the bomb just kind of rolled off the tongue when I was thinking about it, and I was like, we're gonna call it the butterfly because that's standalone, and then everything else is kind of like the bomb. Um, so yeah,
Does that mean The Butterfly is the song that holds closest to your heart on this?
yeah, I think so for sure. I think there's several that kind of hold close to my heart. Sense of Humor is another one, but the Butterfly has just become like kind of the family anthem because my little boy just wants to hear it nonstop, and he just has almost memorized the music video in a really weird way because he'll just be listening to the song and then he'll shout like, "Mommy," and it would be like exactly when mom would be on the video, and butterflies and like when his self gets introduced, he's like baby, like so it's pretty wild to see how that's how the effect that it's had on my family. So I think it's sentimentally probably means the most right now at least.
I was gonna say, what have the fans been reacting to The Butterfly? But it sounds like your biggest fan loves it.
That's all that matters at this point. Yeah.
What's your songwriting process then? Do you need to have music before you can craft a lyric, or does the lyrics find you and then you craft a beat around it?
I'd say probably like, I don't know, I'd say probably 75, 80% of the time it's like I'm in a room with someone and we're coming up with chords, and then they start like a producer, start the track, and then I just kind of feed off that. And then they just kind of come to me. Um, some cases I'll work with like another writer, and we'll kind of do the same thing. We'll start off with like chords and kind of a structure, and then an energy, and just maybe we'll talk concepts a little bit beforehand. But usually it just kind of comes to me. And Butterfly just kind of came to me before anything, which is like very rare when that happens. But I was just out in the car driving my son and my wife somewhere, and the melody of the chorus kind of came to my head, and I was like, hold on, stop talking, and I had to record it, on my voice memo, and I just like fiddled with it in my head for like probably a couple months until I got into the room with the producer and another co-writer, and we finished it. But yeah, it's a little different every time, but for the most part, it's I'm in a room with someone and we're just creating it all together at the same time.
How hands-on are you then when it comes to the production side of the music you make?
I'm a shit producer, but um, I'm pretty hands on. Like we'll feed off each other. For most of the songs on this album, I worked with David Pramik, and he's just such a beast, and he's a pro. So I fully trust him, and but he'll have what do you think of this, or do you think this is the right chord here, or is this the right snare, even, and we'll be able to kind of collaborate in that way. I do some stuff on my own, but it's really hard for me to make my music because I almost don't trust myself with my music. But yeah, sometimes I'll write on my own and I'll produce something around it, and then we'll completely scrap it, and then once we get the pro in the room, we'll redo it. But yeah, usually pretty hands off, but I'm there for comment.
The new album here comes out March 21st. How do you guys plan to celebrate?
Whew. We're gonna celebrate with going on this tour coming up, and just try and get the music out a little bit more. But I was lucky enough to be in a situation where I could hop on this tour with AWOL Nation, and it's just gonna be more. It's just gonna be fun because I'm gonna be playing a lot of the songs off the album on tour, and I'm super excited about that because I feel like I've been playing the same songs for years now, so it's just nice to have a new batch.
I was going to ask what songs off this new album are you looking forward to performing live? I don't know. Will you be able to even perform Butterfly without maybe even crying?
Oh man, yeah, right. I'm gonna try my best. I'm gonna try my best until I get to the Nashville show, which my wife will come to that show, and I don't know about my kid. It might be a little too late, but yeah, it's definitely an emotional song. I think like it's such a happy song for me to perform. I had rehearsals last week. I have rehearsals next week, and it just felt so good performing live. Um, but there is a song on my album, Sense of Humor, where it's a little darker and maybe a little more just sad emotional, and that would be hard for me to perform live. But uh, but yeah, I'm really excited about performing Butterfly, and so we'll be performing Butterfly, uh, and then yeah, a handful of others. I don't know if I should like go into too much detail on those.
Don't tease the set list
Yeah,
too much. Come to the show.
right.
Find
Yeah,
out what
yeah,
we play.
yeah.
Where are some of your favorite places to perform? Certainly Nashville holds a special place in your heart.
Yeah, Nashville. Yeah, for sure. Nashville is one of my favorite places, especially now because I have more of a community, and I'm excited for them to all come out and hear what I can do. Because I really don't like gig around town. I think like that's like a stigma in Nashville that you kind of have to gig around and play events like whatever at the bars on Broadway, but it's not really my thing. And so a lot of my community here hasn't seen me play live. So I'm excited for them to see that. But yeah, Nashville. Really love going to Denver because they played my song Horns on rotation on the rock station there, and so Denver always shows out pretty great for me. Um, Love LA too. Spent many years in LA, and then I'm from Indiana, so I love playing Indianapolis. But we're actually not playing Indianapolis this tour, so hopefully those guys come to like Chicago or Nashville. So,
Is there an artist you would love to collaborate with on a song in the future?
ooh, um,
We could do a rap duet at
a
some
rap.
point, a little rap
Now,
feature on a Bryce Fox song.
now that would be cool. I've been really into Big X the Plug right now. I feel like that would be actually a really awesome feature. I would love that.
What would you like to say then to everyone who are fans and supporters of the incredible music that you make, Bryce?
Just thank you for listening and for listening, for a while since I've been releasing music for a minute now, and you know, it's just like it's unbelievable that I've been able to do this as a career, and I think for a long time I thought this was very much a pipe dream, and just like being able to make music for a living is just like such a blessing, and it's something I never could have imagined. And I just thank you for listening, and thank you for like supporting me and my family. And I honestly can't even like give enough thanks for that. But that's what I would say. And that's what I am saying. So